Oregon State Lottery Commission meeting is now in session. It is noted for the record that commissioners are attending this meeting via the web, and a quorum of commissioners is present for today's meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Conrad?
Here.
Commissioner Geller?
Here.
Commissioner Weller?
Here.
Chair Ramirez?
Here. Will the clerk please inform the commission of any guests that have joined today's meeting?
Yes, joining us today is Nate Carter from the Department of Justice.
Members of the public have the opportunity to provide written public comments to the commission for this meeting. Can the clerk please confirm that no public comment was received?
Yes, that is correct. We did not receive any this month.
Thank you. All right, we'll turn it over to Director Wells for the director's report.
Thank you, Chair Ramirez. Good morning, commissioners. Hard to believe it's actually our last meeting of 2025 already. I don't know where the year has gone. It's flown by. But we have a lot to report. So jumping right in, starting today with a little bit of legal news. So in your packets, I provided you a copy of a recent Oregon Attorney General public opinion. This opinion stems from a question regarding the legality of more than 50 online gaming providers currently offering some form of online gaming opportunity to Oregonians that are not associated with either the Oregon Lottery, the Tribal Nations, or the Racing Commission. Unregulated gaming providers can pose risks to Oregonians because they operate without the same transparency, consumer protections, or responsible gaming practices that we follow, while also diverting revenue, which otherwise would support critical state programs for Oregon and the Tribal Nations. So on November 13th, the Attorney General's office did release a published opinion, which outlined that sports betting, fantasy sports, esports wagering, and traditional casino-style games do meet the statutory definition of gambling and are likely unlawful unless specifically authorized by statute. While this clarifies the potential legal status of these entities, the agency responsible for notifying those providers and enforcing this has yet to be determined. I'm currently having a lot of meetings with different stakeholders trying to determine who's responsible for enforcing this here in Oregon, and we'll continue to keep you apprised as some more is determined. You know, unlike many states, Oregon is unlike many states who have gaming commissions who have this as part of their responsibility. So without a gaming commission, there's some discussion as to what agency is truly responsible for handling this. So more to come on this as it's a pretty recent development, but should have some updates for you in the next commission meeting or so. Each December, state agencies must prepare a report that summarizes the agency's activities to promote positive government-to-government relations with the Oregon tribes. Our 2025 report is included in your packet for your review as well. Please take a look at that report. Let me know if you have any questions, but Lottery remains committed to positive tribal relations and look forward to opportunities for engagement and relationship building in 2026. You know, I can tell you that this is one of those issues that I really see some strong collaboration in our future is as these other providers pop up in the market, right? They affect both us and the tribal nations similarly. And so, you know, I see some coalition and some work together in the future over these issues. So look forward to 2026. I'm proud also to share that Lottery is going to return more than $887 million to the state for fiscal year 25. The Secretary of State has confirmed our annual comprehensive financial report with no audit findings. And I want to shout out a special thanks to our finance and accounting for their excellent work. This is a tremendous effort at the end of a fiscal year to close out our books and then deal with a Secretary of State audit before these final numbers are released. And so to have no audit findings and a closure of the books is a huge accomplishment for that team and takes a lot of their time between July and now to get this closed out. So special thanks to them. Now, this transfer is about $60 million less than last year due to reduced administrative savings and does include $9 million in unclaimed prizes. A few highlights from there that we wanted to call out. Over this last year, we had 12 players who won more than $1 million, including 4 Powerball and 4 Mega Bucks wins. Players earned payouts totaling nearly $15.9 billion over that last fiscal year. And 3,800 retailers earned approximately $306 million in commissions. So super excited about how we ended that fiscal year. Moving on to current sales, the draft November financial statements are in your materials, and will come to you for approval in January. But for a quick sales update, sales are up 5%, driven by Scratch-Its, which continue to outperform prior years. The $30 Holiday Wishes ticket is currently our top seller, with the $30 price point generating 12.2% of total sales. Mega Millions sales rose 10% from a $980 million jackpot, where Powerball surged to 180% after September's $1.8 billion jackpot. Our Keno sales are down by 2.7% compared to last year, and Video Lottery is down by 1.5%. Now, November was a record-breaking month for sports betting, with a gross gaming revenue up 33% compared to November of 2024. Our turnover is up 13% year over year, and that's partly because of DraftKings' promotional focus on parlay business, which resulted in a significant increase in overall parlay turnover and drove November's margins into a positive hold. And currently, football wagers account for 35% of total turnover. A few winner stories from this month. As I mentioned in last month's meeting, winners must now give us permission before we share their names. This change came from the winners' anonymity legislation that took effect at the end of September. And I have a couple of stories this month to share where winners have done just that. They've allowed us to use their names. A regular player of draw games from Newport was excited to win $100,000 playing Powerball. When asked what his reaction was after he realized how much he'd won, he said he took a deep breath, called his son to double check. The win was real, and he plans to surprise his wife and treat his family to an unforgettable Christmas. Terry F. of Tillamook has been using the same numbers for years, and it finally paid off this month. With her special combination of numbers, she won a $20,000 Mega Millions prize. After every other weekend, she meets with her longtime high school friends to enjoy their company. Now she plans to use the money to go on a cruise with all of her friends. And Maria N. was playing Big City 5 Diamonds at a Purple Parrot in Medford when she was getting started with a $2 bet. Within a minute of playing, she hit a bonus and won $17,500. She was thrilled to celebrate her win with a big souvenir check from Player Services team at Lottery. She said it will be a keepsake to remember the big win. Maria will be using the money to help some family members and will be saving the rest for a rainy day. In conclusion of this year, I wanted to say thank you to our lottery teams. This has been a pretty busy year for us. We've had some significant milestones. Over 2025, Lottery worked hard to modernize our games, release new games, and ensure our systems allowed for positive player experiences and continued to strengthen not only the security, but the technology that provides the games to all of our players. This year also brought some important policy changes. We including winner anonymity, which we just talked about, as well as third-party courier rules, which have long been absent in Oregon. Through all this, our teams have stayed focused on the mission, delivering $887 million to our beneficiary programs. I wanted to just call out a few of the key highlights from this year. This certainly does not include everything that's been accomplished, but some of those big items. So we replaced Lucky Lines with Cash Pop, which has been producing a much better revenue than Lucky Lines had been. Launched Beaver State Bonanza as an Oregon exclusive video lottery game. Moved Mega Millions to a $5 price point. Introduced our first $30 Scratch It that became one of our top sellers. Has steady growth in sports betting. Rolled out new Sierra 27 video lottery terminals across the entire state. Continued to upgrade the retailer internet connections statewide. This has been a multi-year project, and we see a light at the end of the tunnel, so super excited to keep moving through that successfully. And accomplished all this while continuing to achieve recognition for the responsible gaming practices and standards that the Oregon Lottery has throughout this organization. And then internally, we streamlined a lot of processes. We've improved documentation across the organization, formalized strategic planning, enhanced internal communications, strengthened leadership development, and have gone back and significantly reduced the original budget that you all approved. So, when we look back on the year, sometimes it feels like we didn't accomplish anything, and you look back and you put it in writing, and it's been a pretty amazing year. I really want to thank our teams internally for all the work that they put into this. We've asked a lot of them, and they've done an amazing job to get all of this accomplished successfully throughout the year. And then also a special thanks to you, commissioners, for being here to support us, to support these initiatives, and to help us accomplish the great things that we have. As always, this agency supports amazing programs across the state, economic development across the state, and it takes all of us to make that happen. And it's just been another amazing year. So we are looking forward to 2026 and the accomplishments to come. So with that, Chair Ramirez, this concludes my report for calendar year 2025.
Yeah, thank you, Director Wells. I would also like to acknowledge your leadership this year. I mean, it's been a difficult year, but your calming leadership makes it a lot easier for us as a commission to help you succeed.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, on to the minutes from last month. So the minutes of the previous commission meeting have been circulated to the commission in advance of today's meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, is there a motion to approve?
I move the minutes of the Oregon State Lottery Commission meeting held on November 21st, 2025 be approved as final as presented today.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Conrad,
Aye.
Commissioner Geller,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Chair Ramirez.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. All right, now let's move on to rulemaking with Chris Scarl.
Chris, we can't hear you. Nope.
I have a quick question since we have some time
Yeah.
here. So, we had this increase in engagement with the tribes this year. What has their reception been to that? How do they feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's been positive, right? I hope that they feel as positive as we do about that increased communication. I think there's always room for better communication, more communication. So hopefully that, finding issues that we can align on, I think helps with that. And so as I'm talking about some of these other providers and trying to deal with that in the market, that's really what I'm kind of excited about, honestly, going into 26 is we can have some things that we can work collaboratively on that are not just talking about revenues, right? Which sometimes is a hard thing to talk about. But yeah, I think that relationships can be more positive than they are, but they've been good. So definitely.
Can I ask how long the government to government summits have been happening? Is that sort of a long term?
It's been around as long as I have been here. I don't
Okay.
know. Elisa has been here longer than I. Do you know how long they've been doing those?
I don't recall, but it's several years.
Yeah. I'm for some reason I believe they started, and maybe Commissioner Conrad, you may know as well. I believe Governor Brown started them, but I'm not sure if they existed before that.
That sounds about the right era, at least.
Yeah. Chris, we still cannot hear you, Chris.
Oh, your phone is muted. Here, let me ask.
How's that? Oh, now I've got an echo.
I think if you mute your computer now.
Okay, how's this? Can you hear me? Is it
Multiple echoes.
How about now?
If you wanted to sign out on your computer, Chris, and just use your phone.
All right. Thank you. Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
That's good.
I'm sorry, guys. This is the worst nightmare, but
We all have technology problems. Don't feel bad.
all right. So, thank you. For the record, my name is Chris Scaro. I'm the Rules and Policy Analyst for Lottery, and we just have one last rulemaking for you this year. So, as I said in the memo in your meeting materials, we had a work group here at Lottery looking at our rules and practices around when scratch-it tickets are lost, stolen, or damaged, such as they can no longer be resold, and how we handle billing retailers for product in those circumstances. So our current rule allows us to credit retailers or waive billing in certain cases, such as theft or accidental damage, but we have a quite labor-intensive credit process, both for lottery and retailers, and we only issue a few credits under the rule each year. So the work group's recommendation to leadership was to amend the rule and simplify and clarify financial responsibility for tickets throughout the product's life cycle. So under the rule that we're proposing today, retailers would not be billed for obviously defective tickets, but also tickets that are damaged during shipment, delivery, or while dispensing. But they would be responsible in other cases, including if they're lost and stolen while on the retailer's premises, which this is largely consistent with our long-standing current practice, but we'd be removing that option to issue a partial credit for stolen tickets. But because we issue so few under the current rule, we thought the impact to retailers would be minimal, while reducing a lot of the administrative workload around that credit process. So that's our proposal, and we did send this out to all of our Scratch It retailers on Monday of this week and asked them to share their feedback with us, which they've already started to do, and will continue to take comment from retailers and the public through the month of December, and also all through January. So I would plan to report back to you in February with a recommendation. And so happy to answer questions, but otherwise that was all I had for you this month. Any questions on that?
Yeah, Chris, this is Charlie, if I can ask a question on that. I'm curious at a, just kind of at a higher level, but why is the credit process so difficult? I read through the memo, the police reports filed, which is what they should be doing anyway. But what are the administrative side? Why is that so burdensome?
Yeah, so there's about 5 or 6 requirements in the rule to qualify for a credit. So you need to have reported timely and had your tickets secured and had reasonable protections in place. So maybe Mike can add to this, but I believe there's a comprehensive security investigation that we do for each of the stolen tickets we receive.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Chris is correct, Commissioner Conrad, that it's about, I believe it is 5 key factors that have to be investigated to determine if that credit can be given or not. So what that does is it starts with a lottery security to determine the delivery of the tickets, how the tickets got there. There's always seems to be an inventory issue, right? So many times this is a theft of tickets. And so what tickets were actually stolen and not. So part of that investigation is to determine what the tickets were. So what series of tickets. And then ultimately state police gets involved and they go do a security of premise investigation. And through that investigation, they're looking to ensure were those tickets in the store at that time? What are the security of the business? How were those tickets secured? Were they appropriately secured, which is required by the rule? Because one of the things that we want to ensure is that, and what is required in the contract is that this ticket stock that's delivered to them, so the scratch tickets, that they're keeping them secure. Right, that they're in a locked cabinet or they're in a safe or they're someplace. So theft is not easy. And so it takes both lottery security and state police doing these investigations. And sometimes it's rather difficult actually to get the information needed, and it does take quite a bit of time. And as Chris mentioned, we have very few of these requests annually, and ultimately it does not result in very much of a credit back to them. And I think the second reason that we are addressing this is we feel like we are very dissimilar to any other product. If you have any other product delivered to your store and that is stolen, Coca-Cola doesn't send you a credit for the soda that was stolen, right? Or whatever item was stolen off your shelves. And so just trying to align our business practices to be a little more like other businesses that would deliver a product to someone else. So very interested in hearing the public comment and getting feedback from all of those retailers on this process. But that's a little bit about kind of what that process looks like internally.
I appreciate that. And yeah, in thinking through that, I appreciate you bringing up, the soft drink or the Coca-Cola. But one of the other aspects, and I don't know how pertinent this is, it is that there's still a contractual obligation for this product versus soda sitting on the shelf, because they still have to be under lock and key. There's still other things. You can only sell it to a certain group, right? I mean, so there are other restrictions, other contractual obligations, which may or may not set this apart for that, for this process to happen. So I'm really curious on the retailer side. And the other side, I mean, because to me, when I visualize this, I don't think it's like one or two tickets stolen, right? I mean, it's somebody that busts into the convenience store, breaks into the cabinet, the shelf, the whatever, grabs a whole stack of them and goes. So some of that, particularly with the video technology, it's pretty easy to see how it happens when it happens. So those are quick investigations. I've done some of these investigations in the past. They can be very quick and easy. I mean, doesn't take hours and hours of reviewing video footage to see somebody bust in, grab a stack of them, and run out the store. And so all the other elements that you talked about are there and they're ever present. So, you know, if there are other scenarios, I'd be curious what those might be at the appropriate time, and also really what the retailers, what they're going to say. And I mean, if they don't care, if they're fine with it, you know, be interesting.
Yeah, it's really, I will just summarize. I will say the investigation is investigating more of, are they adhering to the contractual obligations of keeping good inventory of the tickets, the security related to the tickets. That's really what takes the most time because, to be completely frank, many of the retailers who have losses are not doing an exceptional job of keeping inventory and don't have the security in place that is suggested, recommended, expected in the contract. So that is really what is time consuming. We have some of our larger retail organizations who are the ones that probably get the credit the most because they have really good accounting for tickets, and those ones are much quicker. Absolutely, those are much quicker because, to your point, they have all the details. They know exactly what the process is, and they're right there to handle it. So, yeah, we'll see what the public comment is, and can always go back and make changes as we go through this process.
Director, am I correct in stating that the retailer who incurs a loss and says these tickets were stolen, there is still a procedure in place to notify lottery such that those tickets, we noticed something in the memo, those tickets can be marked as non-redeemable or whatever the phraseology is. I presume that process will still be in place even if we're not going to reimburse them for stolen tickets?
That is correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, the final rule requires reporting in 48 hours so we can mark them as stolen so we don't end up paying the criminal a prize.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Can I ask, how often are thefts occurring?
So that's a good question. I wasn't able to get the most solid stats on that, but we had our hotline staff pull record of calls over the course of 12 months, and they had 50 calls relating to stolen tickets. Now, that's not to say that 50 retailers had thefts in a year, but those calls came in some respects. So like Mike said, sometimes this is just inventory issues that are resolved. But we didn't have a great way to track those calls coming in. One metric that is probably the best to use is we had 15 retailers submit stolen ticket affidavits to security. So that's going to be some percentage of the total thefts that retailers experience. So over the course of 12 months, security received 15 affidavits. And of those, they ended up issuing credits on about 2. So that's the approval rate after investigation that Mike was talking about.
Okay. If there are no other questions on this topic, I'll open it up to the commissioners for any communication or other business they might want to bring up.
I wanted to add my thanks to the director and his staff for all this great work. And I also wanted to mention, I am a terrible person for to judge the quality of this because I don't watch a lot of television, but I did see one of the holiday ads this last week, and I thought it hit I liked the tone and I liked the ad, and so I just wanted to share that with the commissioners.
Okay. So this concludes today's meeting of the Oregon State Lottery Commission. The next meeting is scheduled on Friday, January 30th. Thank you all for attending today's meeting. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you one and all, and Merry Christmas.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Yep. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.